I may keep you waiting, but trust me, those wedding invitations are coming, hopefully. Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. I am Raphael and I am here to review episode 8 of the real wedding that is probably never ever gonna happen of Potomac. Ever. So we start this episode off right where we left off with Wendy lighting the house on fire after giving it to Isabelle and Robin. She gets up and she storms off because she's still very upset about the whole situation. But here we have Isabelle and Robin and they are acting so confused about the whole situation as if they're not the ones who kind of set this fire in motion. Well, technically it was Ashley, but you know, all three of them had a play into it and they're like, wait, what's going on? Why is she acting like this? Why is she upset? Why is she saying all this about us? And Robin's just she's just laughing nonstop. Isabelle gets hungry and she orders food for the group, and I must say the food did look good. I mean, when they zoomed in on her eating on the floor on the table and she had those ribs in her hands, I'm like, oh, those look so tasty. Put those to the camera. And of course, Robin, you know, Robin, okay, so at least with Isabelle, we can all say that Isabelle plays this character or this villain character on the show. You know, it's understandable. You know, that's her character. At least she knows her role. But with Robin, on the other hand, Robin is just like, she is just her sidekick at this point. Robin can side with Isabelle, but all she has to do is just stay out of it. You know, that's all she has to do. Like, okay, you can be Team Isabelle all you want, but just stay out of the arguments and stop jumping in every single time that Isabelle has an argument. You know, every single time somebody says something to Isabelle, Robin's like, no, I'm here. I'm gonna be the one. I'm gonna choose my Pokemon. Boom. And then she throws out her Pokeballs to go into battle. And then boom, pops out a Robin. You know, and I'm just like, Robin, enough already. You know, have the same energy that you have when defending Isabelle with Juan. I mean, you're sleeping and then Juan screams at you and he tells you X, Y, and Z, and you don't have anything to say to the man. So I'm not sure why you're so, you know, big and bold with Isabelle, but with Juan, you're just like, okay, I'm gonna go wake the children up, okay? Just use those same Pokemon skills that you use when fighting Giselle's battles, because obviously at this point, she's your Pokemon trainer against Juan. You know, that way it won't seem that Isabelle is so important to you and she's at such a high pedestal more than your husband. Wendy repeats the same line that she said last week and she's like, I don't really want to break bread with a bitch ass right now. You know, and Giselle's just like, you know, she's always looking so confused. That's one thing I give to Isabelle. No matter what anybody says to her, her face does not crack. Like, she's just like all so confused and everything, as if she does not know that what Wendy said to her, you know, it's some truth to it. But I bet you after the cameras were done rolling, Isabelle went upstairs, took a nice bubble bath, got out, dried herself off, you know, got ready to sleep, put on her nice pajamas, and probably cried herself to sleep the whole night thinking about Wendy's words. And here comes Robin proving that she has no mind of her own, because she asked Isabelle, so Isabelle, wait, are we mad at anybody else? Are we mad at Ashley? Do we need to attack her again? Do we need to show up to her apartment? Like, what's going on? Because I could scoop up a couple blogs right now and, you know, get some dirt on Michael. Just let me know and I'm ready, okay? Just let me know, Captain. And I was like, no, everything's fine with Ashley. I mean, she just came over, you know, dropped this huge bomb and then just left. Eventually, Askala, Wendy, and Karen take their food and leave for the night, and they go back to their cottage. And as Karen is leaving, she forgets that they have an extra cast member and she just closes the door on Askala. And Askala's like, wait, Karen, you forgot that I'm in front of the Housewives now. What's going on here? I may not hold a champagne flute, but I'm still important. And Karen's like, oh yes, I'm so sorry. Come with me to the cottage. And they head over there. So then we're left with Candice, Mia, Isabelle, and Robin. And Candice is telling Isabelle, I don't think that it's right, because, I mean, if this is what makes Wendy emotional and it's a sensitive subject to her, then so be it. But Giselle's like, no. If she's gonna crumble and get so emotional and cry every 5 seconds just because we ask her a question about her body, her relationship, her marriage, her new behavior, then she shouldn't be in this group. And I'm like, now wait a minute, Isabelle, because there's a clip floating around right now on the internet, a flashback clip of earlier seasons where you and Robin confronted Ashley at her restaurant for the same situation that you're doing here to Wendy. You know, Ashley made up some rumors, or she spoke about some rumors about Juan and Robin's relationship, and Robin got so upset and she confronted Ashley. So I'm not understanding what's the problem here when Wendy's doing the same thing, but she's just doing it to you. So I'm confused on that. And the shady ass production, because as Isabelle is talking and she gets up and she's like, well, what is Wendy gonna be doing? Crying on Karen's shoulder, and they quickly flash over to the cottage where Karen, Askala, and Wendy's at, and we see Wendy crying in front of both of them. I'm like, damn, they couldn't time it any better. And Wendy's crying over there in front of Karen, and she's just like, I just think that he's a good man, you know? Ooh. Then Robin has a whole new issue and problem with Wendy because she's telling the group, like, I'm so confused and I'm so disappointed that Wendy low-blowed me with talking about my marriage and saying that I don't really have anything with Juan when in fact I don't, and she doesn't need to know that though. And she's like, I just don't get it because last year she was so crazy about my wedding, and then I completely forgot about how Wendy acted at the wedding last year, at the proposal, where Wendy was more excited than everybody in the room. I completely understand what Robin is trying to say, but her point goes right out the window because the same disappointment that you have to Wendy, Wendy has the same disappointment about you. You and Giselle are supposed to be her close friends, or at least somewhat close friends. And look how both of you are treating her these last couple episodes, you know? So she could say the same thing about you, Robin. You're so quick to take sides with Giselle and jab, jab, jab at Wendy until her self-esteem is on the floor. But you don't realize what kind of friend you're being then, right? You only realize it when Wendy says something to you. Now you're just like, oh, I'm so disappointed. I really thought we were close friends. If you were close friends, or if you had as much respect as Wendy did for you, you wouldn't, continue jabbing at her and criticizing her for every single thing nonstop. Then we finally get the first confessional of Escala, and she looks so beautiful. She looks so, so pretty. She looked like a princess. And she's telling Wendy, like, I'm confused because I'm Robin's friend. And I'm like, no, you're not. Not anymore after these episodes. Like, I won't be surprised if Robin's like, you know what, Escala, I don't think I want you working at my Amazon warehouse anymore. And I'm going to just pack my own hats from now on. You're fired because I saw you kind of talking shit and you're kind of taking Wendy's side, so get the fuck out. But Escala does make a good point because she's like, well, okay, I may be friends with Robin, but I don't understand how she's excusing all of Giselle's behavior. You know, I don't care how close we are. I'm going to tell you when you're wrong or when you're right. And I like that about Escala because it shows that she's not just going to take everybody's side just because she's friends with you. Just because you're friends with somebody doesn't mean that you automatically have this huge loyalty to them even when they're in the wrong. You know, a good friend is there to call you out on your bullshit. Eventually, Wendy, Escala, and Karen say goodnight to each other. Wendy goes upstairs and she's talking to Eddie and she's like, this whole trip has been a trip from hell. I mean, it's really been testing my mental strength. Like, it's just crazy around here. And then Giselle says goodnight to her group because she's telling them that she's a little drunk. She has liquor in her system. She needs to kind of sleep it off. So as she's heading upstairs, we see Robin. Robin's like, oh, I'll go with you. You know, I'll go upstairs with you. I'm like, I'm like, Robin, what are you really doing? What are you really going upstairs for? What are we really doing here? What's going on? So then the next morning, all the women are getting ready. We see Giselle outside trying to find Mimo. And then we see Robin on the phone and she's calling Juan. And the way Juan picked up the phone, I mean, he was like, yeah, what the fuck do you want? Like, I'm like, damn, could you say hi or like, hey babe or something? Like, he picked up the phone as if it was like, you know, the insurance company calling to try to scam people or something. I'm like, damn, Juan. And then here we have Robin. Robin's like, hey, Juan, I miss you. How are you? Do you miss me? And Juan is like, no, we don't miss you. But, oh, wait, no, that's not what the script says. Let me see. Let me look at the notes that you told me to write down. Oh, yeah. Yes, we do miss you. Come back home soon. The kids and I miss you. Is that good, Robin? Is that good for the camera? We miss you a lot. Yes, please come back. And then Robin replies, oh, well, that's really good. I really like the way you were reading those lines. I mean, the way you said you really miss me. Have you been waking up the kids? And Juan is like, yeah, I've been waking them up. And I'm like, you see, Juan, what was so difficult about that? You know, what was so difficult about it? And I wish Robin had a backbone when it came to her own marriage. You take it as an accomplishment when he does the bare minimum. You know, she's like so happy just because he wakes up the kids. Robin was trying to continue this conversation with Juan, but Juan was not having it. Juan was just like, look, I really don't even feel like showing my face on the camera. I mean, the phone was just sideways like this the entire time, just showing the lights of a roof or something. And I'm like, damn. So then Juan is like, look, Robin, I gotta go. I'm gonna go have brunch with Michael. So you enjoy your trip and leave me alone, okay? Before you get blocked. Then we see Karen and Escala heading over back to the main house because Karen wants to get all dolled up. She wants to get her makeup done because she's gonna get the key to Siri today. And Escala goes over to Giselle and she's like, I just think that both of you really need to have a conversation, you know, referring to Giselle and Wendy. And I'm like, if there's one thing that these housewives love doing is just saying, I think we need to have a conversation. I think we need to have a conversation. I think we need to have a conversation. I think you should have a conversation. Like, everybody on these housewives franchises love saying that. And then we head over to Ashley's house where she's with the newborn baby. We see Dean just running around not listening to anybody apparently. And then we see the woman that she's also there with that also helps Ashley on a day-to-day basis. And then I wish that Bravo would put some type of warning before Michael popped up on the screen, because I'm watching this and I'm like, oh, okay, there's Ashley with the baby. That's cute. Oh, there's Dean. And I'm like, oh my God, who the hell is that man that walked into the house? I was like, who the hell is that? And, you know, he looked like the crypt keeper walking in here, just creeping up in there like, hey, Ashley, how are you? And I'm like, you need to stop. Like, Andy, I need you to put some type of warning before Michael walks into a scene, because I was looking at the screen like, who the hell is that? You know, I'm like, who's this zombie with a nice jacket that's coming in here? And he gives a little box to baby Dean to head over to Ashley. And Ashley opens it, and to her surprise, it ends up being Juan's wedding ring that he was never going to give to Robin, that he gave to Michael earlier at brunch that morning, because he just didn't really see a use for it. But Michael put his own twist on the ring, because he put the birthstones of the two babies, Ashley and himself, on the ring, so he could shut Ashley up for a while before his next scandal breaks, because Ashley's like, oh, this is so cute, you know, oh my God, I'm so happy. This is definitely going to ignore the couple of scandals that are going to come out in the next couple of months. Whatever you end up doing, I think that this could, you know, kind of blind me for a little bit. Then Wendy finally shows up to the house, and she goes over to the pool section where all the other women are at. And did y'all see, if you catch it very quickly, Robin, the look on her face when Wendy walked in, she looked so disgusted. She looked back, and then she turned around, she rolled her eyes, and she had such a nasty look to her face. She was just like, you know, just rolling her eyes. I'm like, damn, Robin, like, what's going on here? And, you know, I give Wendy big props. I give all these housewives big props because, you know, on this series specifically, you know, you can't just not talk to the other woman. You know, no matter what housewife season or no matter what housewife city you're at, you're gonna have to eventually talk to your castmates, because they're technically your co-workers, you know? So it's just, it must be so awkward when you have so much tension with somebody and you end up just cursing somebody out just a second ago, and then the next morning you have to just say, oh, good morning, hey, oh, you're in the pool, how are you? You know, it must be so uncomfortable. But Wendy does it nonetheless, and she's sitting there, and then Giselle's like, Wendy, I kind of want to have a conversation with you, so I'm ready whenever you are. And Wendy's just not having it. Wendy's just ignoring her. She's looking away. She puts her braids to the side of her face. And Giselle's like, well, okay, I don't really talk to braids, but okay. And then we start talking about Mia and her complications when giving birth, because she said that her baby was inside her with the umbilical cord wrapped around their neck 3 times, and they were upside down too. I'm like, damn, that must have been such a traumatic experience. Robin also explains that Juan wasn't there when she was giving birth, and that if they did have another child, that maybe he could redeem himself, you know? And I'm like, you see, Robin, you and Giselle talk so much shit about Wendy's marriage and her husband and everything, but again, Juan could barely ever do the minimum. I just don't understand that, you know? And I'm not fond of any of the women, you know, coming for their marriages or criticizing their marriage or saying, you know, oh, Giselle, you don't have a man, you don't have this, you don't have that. But at the same time, you can't be throwing rocks at Wendy's marriage or her husband when your own husband isn't the greatest husband to begin with. So then Candice tells the group that she needs backup dancers for her new music video to her song Drive Back to the Grocery Store and Give Me a Tissue Box. And then she's like, okay, I want to have a competition, you know, to see who is deserving to be in my music video and who has the right dance moves. And I love that in her confessional, she basically, she was just like, oh, you know, everybody drives back to their relationship, you know, because that's what the song is about. It's about her driving back to her relationship with Chris. And she's like, yeah, everybody drives back to their relationship. You know, Karen does it with Ray. Robin drives back to Juan, even though Juan is driving to Michael. And Giselle drives back to Jamal, even though he's driving all over the place. And Giselle, at this point, she has a ton of speeding tickets because she keeps trying to chase him. And then she shades Ashley, and she's like, yeah, so Ashley's car is just in reverse 24/7. I'm like, damn, Candice, you know, her confessionals this season have been hilarious. And then, of course, Robin had to remind us that she has experience being a video hoe because she was in a music video to the song Bad Boys for Life. And I'm like, let me go look at this music video again with my microscope because I want to know where Robin was, because she could say, oh, yeah, I was in the music video. Meanwhile, she was behind somebody else, behind somebody else, behind somebody else, behind a camera crew, behind another camera crew, behind a towel, behind a door. And then that's when I was in the music video. I was behind all the other people. Karen finally finishes up with her makeup and she rejoins the group, and they're all getting ready to present in front of Candice, and they're all like, okay, we're gonna start our choreography battle, and the first team up is Team Twerk a Lot, which is Mia, Robin, and Giselle, and they go up and they start dancing, they have a nice flow going, they were trying to be Destiny's Child, but they end up looking like Destiny's cousin, but they were all having fun, and I just wish that they would have cut out the whole scene with Karen in the confessional saying that, oh, Giselle looked ridiculous, she was just flapping her vagina around. I'm like, okay, Karen, we didn't need to hear that. We didn't have to see that. We were just watching them have fun. Yes, they have their own petty issues, against each other, but in moments like this, let them just have fun. Everybody was just having fun and getting along, even for the moment. So why just add your shady moments here? Next team, Team Nubian Queens, consists of Escala and Wendy, and yeah, they were no better than the first group. But the point is, they were all having fun. Who cares if you don't have the best rhythm, the best, dance moves? It's okay. And Candice was actually surprised because she's like, where was Wendy on the pole, here? Like, where was that Wendy? And then they flash back to Wendy kind of almost breaking her neck on the pole on the bus. But I'm like, we were really basing it off of that. Nobody had choreography. Maybe Mia? Surprisingly, they told Karen, oh, Karen, you need to go up there by yourself. And Karen goes up there and I'm like... She starts rolling on the ground, she does her little, dance moves or whatever, and I need somebody to edit the whole welcome to Jocelyn's cabaret where your every desire will be fulfilled. I need somebody to edit that song on top of Karen's scene right here because I think it will go so well in sync. Here comes Giselle. Same thing as I said about Karen. She's like, oh my God, like poor Ray, is this what he has to deal with? I'm gonna have to send him a stripper. I'm like, can't you and Karen just be nice to each other just in this one moment? Like, Karen is gonna look at this and gonna have more ammo for you at the reunion, Giselle. Candice announces Karen as the winner, but she tells the women that they can all be part of the music video regardless. And is it me or the song is just really, really catchy? I feel like they played it a couple of times in this last couple of scenes that it really stuck with me in my head. I'm like, boy, you make me come back, come back. Like, it's just so catchy. Karen, Wendy, and Mia head over to where she's gonna be inducted to be ambassador of Surrey County while the rest of the women are playing tennis. And as she's over there, the woman gives a lovely speech to Karen, then she gives her a golden key, and then Karen goes up there to receive it, and then here comes Ray, and Ray is like, wait, is that microphone still on? I need to be messy for a quick second. Okay, is Wendy listening? Okay, let me go up there with these flowers. Here, Karen. So are you gonna tell, everybody here what the big news is? And Karen tells everybody that she's working on her own version of her candle lines, and I'm like, wow. Like, so shady. I don't know how I felt about that, Karen. I felt that was a little fucked up. And Wendy was probably standing on the sidelines next to Mia like, oh, I'm very happy for you, Karen. Congratulations. Oh, a candle line? Oh, that's really cute. And then the producers asked Karen, oh, why didn't you tell Wendy that you were gonna have, this expansion to La Dame? How come you didn't tell her that you were also working on candles? And I just didn't buy Karen's excuse. I'm sorry, I called it BS because she's like, well, it wasn't about me, it was about Wendy. And I'm like, okay, but you're supposed to be close friends. You would think that you would at least disclose that information. Like, Wendy, I'm gonna help you because why? I'm gonna start my own candle line as well. So I'm gonna give you some pointers that I'm doing on my own. I don't know, I just thought it was a little shady, Karen. I wouldn't be surprised if Wendy snuck up into Karen's room late at night while Karen was sleeping, grabbed that golden key, and flushed it down the toilet just because Karen didn't tell her about her new candle line. Back over at the tennis court, Escala and Candice lost a game between Robin and Giselle, and the bet was that they were gonna have to give each other a foot massage. And then we see Giselle just making her OnlyFans content with Robin, just putting their feet together and, putting water all over it. And I'm like, Giselle, you're messing with your money. You're giving all this for free. Like, you should be putting this on OnlyFans because people love that. Candice is wondering how the dinner between all of them is gonna go later on in the day. And she's telling Giselle and Robin, like, Robin, I feel like you're only in this because of association to Giselle, which she's right. Robin just jumped into the whole argument just because she's defending Giselle, nothing more. But Robin, of course, now she has a reason. And she's like, no, that's not true. I mean, I'm in this situation now, not because of Giselle, but she attacked my marriage. She said that it didn't count for anything. And I'm just like, Robin, you're just picking at straws now. And she's like, well, I can have my opinions. I can have my opinions. There is a fine line between having an opinion and then just bashing somebody constantly with your critiques. I mean, you and Giselle were just judgmental. You were criticizing. You were just trying to tear Wendy up. You know, you were trying to belittle her as much as possible. And then she had the nerves to utter out the words, Wendy is not invited to my wedding. Now, Robin, let me get a little closer. Robin, what wedding? And does Juan know about this? Does he know about these things that you are speaking behind his back? Does he know? Does he know? Does he? Does he know, Diane? Does he? Wendy, Karen, and Mia head back home and they stop at what looks like a Quick Check. I could be wrong, but I feel like it was a Quick Check. And they get Slurpees and Mia points out this weird fact. She's like, yeah, Gordon, her husband, doesn't let her go inside stores like this to get anything. I'm like, why? Are they supposed to sell steak and lobsters for you to go inside? What's the reason? And as they're driving back home inside the car, Mia is letting both of them know, like, yeah, Wendy, Giselle kind of called you a weak bitch. You know, after both of you left with Escala, yeah, things got a little bit worse and she called you a weak bitch. And I'm like, oh, here comes Mia being messy. And, you know, at first I was kind of confused as, like, you know, what team are you going to be on? You know, are you kind of like being a flip-flop? But at the same time, you know what? It's not necessarily a bad thing anymore. You know, if you really look at it from a different perspective, like, you know what? It's better that she has no alliance to anybody and she's kind of like the new bone collector. She's the new Ashley at this point because she takes some information and she reports it back to somebody else to stir up mess. And she says in her confessional, well, you know, I'm not worried about Giselle. She said what she said and it is what it is. She didn't tell me I couldn't say it. And I'm like, well, okay, at least she has the guts to actually say something about it. But Giselle did not say that to begin with. I think what Mia's issue was that she just exaggerated the words. You know how we all do, like, oh yeah, you know, like, I'm such a dumbass bitch, you know, but you're not necessarily calling yourself a dumbass bitch, you know. I feel like she just added the bitch for emphasis, and I feel like Karen and Wendy just kind of maybe took it the wrong way. Once again, production with the shady editing. Because Candice is on the phone with Karen and she's like, Karen, make sure to wear a cocktail dress or, you know, something fancy. Do not wear jeans. And boom, they cut right over to Giselle, who has on jeans. I'm like, damn, how come nobody told her? I mean, Candice, you didn't tell her anything. You didn't send out, you know, a text message to the group like, hey, this is the attire for tonight. Wear this and do not wear jeans. Finally, all the women reunite to have dinner at this dinner table. And Candice is like, oh, I want to do a toast to friendship and forgiveness. And I'm like, did you not see what happened the last couple nights here? Just like Wendy said, did you not see what they were trying to do with me? Like, what's going on here? I'm like, Candice, stop it. Like, like, we're not that foolish. And here comes Robin. Robin made me cringe with what she did next. She takes out her phone while everybody's eating and she calls Juan out of nowhere. And she's like, oh, hi, my non-existent husband. How are you? Did you know that we were in a non-existent relationship, in a non-existent marriage? And I would have died if Juan would have replied like, yeah, I know that already. What about it? Like, can you leave me alone? I'm going to the movies right now to go look at that new movie with Michael. Like, what are you calling me here for? And I'm like, what was the reason? What was the point of this, Robin? It was so cringy. I'm like, you didn't have to be this childish about it. Like, what point were you trying to make? And Juan just seemed so over it. Juan was just like, okay, like, what are you talking about? Okay, I gotta go, bye. Like, you just made a complete ass out of yourself and you look foolish doing this. And what's worse is that she looked so proud of it. After she hung up, she was just like, yeah, I really did that. Yeah, did everybody see that? Did all the cameras catch that? Put it in the previews for next week's episode. Yeah, that was good, right? Yep, that was my moment. Again, for some reason, Robin looks over at Wendy and she's like, so are you going to ignore me like you're ignoring Giselle? And I'm like, why does it matter? Why does it matter if Wendy is ignoring you? You clearly had an issue with her the night before and you and Giselle were attacking her for no reason. So I'm not understanding why you want to have any type of attention from Wendy. Just let her be. You obviously see that she's not talking to Giselle. And if she doesn't want to talk to you, why does it bother you so much that she's staying quiet? Leave her alone. At least she's not saying anything to you. And she's like, I just can't believe that you were so excited about the proposal last year and all of that. And now this time you're just, you're criticizing my marriage. And I love Wendy's replies because Wendy was petty with it. She was like, yeah, I said that. Yes. I agree. No, I definitely did say that, your marriage doesn't exist. Yes, what about it? And Wendy hit the nail on the coffin with what she said in her confessional. She was just like, Robin, you see how hurtful it is when I say something about your marriage, but you let Giselle get away with everything and criticizing everybody's marriage in this group. You never say anything to her. You never call her out on how wrong and hurtful her words are. But the minute that somebody said something about you, Robin, about your marriage, look how hurt you are. It's like, it's so damaging. And it's like, you see, Robin, it's like holding a mirror to your face. It's crazy to me how Robin does not see it from Wendy's perspective. Like, you're so far up Giselle's ass that it blinds you from looking at the reality of what it really is. The same way, Robin, that you feel hurt is the same way that Wendy felt when you and Giselle were criticizing her about her body, about her marriage, about the cheating rumors, about everything. Both of you did not come at her nicely like, oh, Wendy, let's talk about this in a respectful way. You were just like, so is it because of your marriage is falling apart? You didn't come at her with respect. So I don't get why you think that Wendy needs to come at you with respect. Just the same way that you took a low blow at her, she could do it with you as well. And then Mia was quick to jump in and she's like, okay, but we need to get to the real issue here. And it's between Giselle and Wendy. So let's talk about that. And I'm like, damn, that was very, very bold of Mia to do. Because usually, they try to be sneaky about things like this. But no, she was really just out there with it. I'm like, oh, okay, let's see how your relationship with Giselle goes after this. And Wendy looks over at Giselle and she's like, yeah, let's talk about this weak bitch comment. And Giselle's like, I never said this. And then Candice is like, yeah, she never really said that. And it's true. She never did say it. And Mia's like, I could have swore that the word bitch was involved in it. No, it was not involved. Oh my God. Like, did I forget this? I'm sorry, Wendy. Regardless, it still opened up the gateway for Wendy to confront Giselle. And Wendy's basically told Giselle, like, I'm in a marriage with a good man, a faithful man, and my relationship is all good and everything is good here. And that's vindication enough for me. So basically just telling Giselle, you're miserable, you're alone, you have no man, and I do, and you wish you had what we had. And that's enough for me. I'm comfortable being happy in this marriage and you're miserable by yourself. That's basically what Wendy said. And of course, Giselle just plays confused again as she's eating. She's always just so quick to make those confused faces when somebody's coming at her. She's like, a vindication of what? Of what? Of what? Wait, what? What? On the sideline, we see Karen just like, yes, oh, she really did that. Yes, Wendy, yes, that good point, Wendy, yes. And I'm like, Karen, enough. Like, Karen is just, oh, that also made me cringe because Giselle pointed it out in her confessional, like, oh, please, Karen, like, Wendy could say anything, you'll still cheer for her. You just want a new friend. And what she really wants is just an alignment with somebody who doesn't like Giselle. So, of course, Karen is going to cling on to Wendy even more. I mean, yeah, they could have a true bond, but the fact that she also doesn't like Giselle at this point now makes Karen cling on to her even more, and it makes me cringe. I'm like, Karen, just, keep your comments to yourself. Like, do you really dislike Giselle that much to be throwing jabs at her every 5 seconds? I get it. Giselle, could be a pain in the ass for all the women on the show, but, just continue eating your food and just let them, deal with it themselves. And that was the episode, y'all. And we also got a mid-season trailer, which, by the way, it looked like a horror movie the way they started it. I'm like, damn, whoever edited that, look, it's so perfect. I'm like, whoo, I got goosebumps the first couple of seconds. What did y'all think of it? I mean, is it really halfway through the season already? I feel like it just started. I feel like the season just started like last week. And now we have a mid-season trailer. Like, how long is the season gonna be in general? But that's that, y'all. Let me know what y'all thought about this episode. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Bye, y'all. Mwah.